Hi all, my name is Martin and this is the Excel Makers channel. Welcome to another video dedicated to pivot tables. In this video, we will take a look at how to adjust the source data for a pivot table and how to automatically incorporate new data into the pivot table. So let's get down to the business. As you can see, for today's video, we will have very similar table as we had last time. What changed is that I added the new columns with product, salesperson, region, or currency to make our data looks more real. So first of all, before the showing how to adjust data for pivot table or how to refresh pivot table automatically, we can create very basic pivot table. If you watch the first video, you already know how to do it. So when I click anywhere in the data, then click insert, then pivot table, we have dialog window like this. You can see that table range for pivot table is automatically selected because we stood in the data. And now we can also choose the location. Yeah, the location of this table could be new worksheet or existing worksheet. Existing worksheet is for me fine, so when I click here, I can select the location, and location could be the cell I3, why not? Yeah, you can see we have a new dialog window for pivot table, also pivot table fields menu. And very quickly, because this is in detail described in the first video, I can drag CT to rows, drag period to columns, and sales to values. You can see we have very basic table, but it doesn't look bad. And as next, we can also set the number format for sales. So when I go to sales or to values and sum of sales, by this arrow to value field settings, and in number format, number, we can check use thousand separator and set 0 decimal place. When I click OK and OK again, you can see now that all numbers are formatted in nice way. After creation of pivot table, we can go to our today's topics, and this topic is how to adjust the source data for pivot table and eventually how to update automatically the pivot table. What we can do is, for example, I have source data here, and for example, for München office, I can change sales to 1,500. Yeah, this is the real issue from Praxis. For example, you can raise the credit note for München office, and this credit note means the decrease in the sales. Yeah, and for this reason I change this number. You can see that when I change the number from 1700 to 1500, our pivot table still displays 1700. And reason for this is that actually pivot table doesn't show directly our source data, but our pivot table shows the cache, what is some intermemory between source data and between pivot table. When you create pivot table, also the cache is created, and in this cache we have the data which was in data source when it was created. And maybe you know what happens now, that we need to refresh this cache, and the refreshing of cache is very easy. When I just click anywhere in the pivot table analyze tab and click refresh, you can see now for München office we have 1050, what is exactly the same as we have in the source data. As next, I would like to also show you that in the how to deal with the case when we have new data. Yeah, and this is the very often case in the real practice, because every time when you are doing some report, you are expecting new periods coming, and you have data for these new periods. And you can see that in this workbook, I have three worksheets for period 4 and period 5. So what I can do is go to period 4, take the data, and simply by Control C and Control V, I can paste it here. And now I can refresh the table because we already know about cache, so we need to refresh it. And you can see that nothing has changed. Yeah, and the reason is that when we created pivot table, we selected for this pivot table only the data until line 13. Yeah, and we didn't select also these next 4 lines. So what we can do is click anywhere in the pivot table, click pivot table analyze, and change data source. Again, change data source, and you can see what I just said, that we have selected only the lines from line 1 to line 13. And the solution is simple, just we can select everything, yes, and now when I click OK, I should see also the period 4 in the table. So this was easy way how to adjust source data for the pivot table. In the beginning of this video, I promised to show you how to update or how to refresh pivot table automatically. This is possible when you use or when you format your data as a table. Yeah, when you format your data as a table, this data receives some extraordinary properties which normally doesn't have. So how to do it? When you click anywhere in your data, click Insert, Table, third option from that tab, and you can see that automatically selected is range and also automatically is checked my table has headers. So I click OK. You can see we have different format for this data. You can also choose some different format and different options for tables here in table design tab, but maybe this is the topic for another video. What I would like to show you is in the third sheet I have data for period 5, and when I take it by Control C and put it here by Control V, and now click to pivot table analyze and refresh, you can see that automatically the 5th period is in our table. Yeah, and when I can also check the data source, yeah, pivot table analyze, change data source again, you can see that automatically the table or range is expanded for new lines for the 5th period. Yeah, and this is possible when you use a table as a source. What we can also show is now you can see that the table is defined how area between A1 and G21. But when I select it again from A1 to G21, you can see that now we don't have the address, we have just the name, table 4, which is the name of this table. So when I click OK, nothing has changed because practically the same is selected, but now it is much simpler than before. That's it for today's video on adjusting data source for pivot tables and incorporating new data automatically. We covered how to change the data source, refresh your pivot table, and use tables to simplify updates. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the Excel Makers channel for more Excel tips and tutorials. Thanks for watching and see you next time.